Let's go around the league. What's your first item?
Carolina. My hat's off to them. I could have chosen this team for the smart decision by giving Ron Rivera a real chance to be the head coach. They haven't made it official, but he's gone in for a second interview. And this is a guy that when I hear this news, I say it's about time. He played in the league for 9 years. He's been a coach for 14 years. He's won a Super Bowl as a player, and he's gone to a Super Bowl as a coach. And this guy isn't just a rah-rah guy. You know, when you talk about ex-players like a Mike Singletary, they give you these great quotes that you can use in your paper. But Ron Rivera, he's an X's and O's, and he's a teacher. When I was with him in Philadelphia and I moved from defensive end to linebacker in Jim Johnson's complicated defense, he's the one who made that transition easy for me, and it was because he's such a great teacher. And I think if Carolina hires him or when they hire him, it's going to be a great move for him.
Now, my first item is about a coach who's going. That's Charlie Weiss. As soon as he accepted that job at the University of Florida, Chiefs had 2 really bad games. Head coach Todd Haley has now gotten rid of 2 coordinators, Chan Gailey and Charlie Weiss, in his first 2 years. Now there's talk about Josh McDaniels going there. There was a report, unsubstantiated, that Haley took the play calling away from Weiss in the second half when the Chiefs were terrible against the Ravens. But Weiss is gone. The Chiefs got to hire somebody else. Weiss did a great job. But I think once that got out that he was leaving, they were not the same team.
And you're absolutely right. It's almost like the players thought to themselves, what are we going to do without this great play caller and Charlie Weiss? And as soon as the reports went out that he wasn't going to be there, that team just went downhill.
Okay, what do you got next?
You know, again, I always got to go to Philadelphia.
Didn't they lose?
Hey, we're not supposed to bring that up. They fought a hard battle, and Green Bay stole the game from them. Let's just call it.
Die, Eagles, die.
The Eagle has landed. So when I talk about the Eagles, they have a problem that most teams want to have. They have 2 legit quarterbacks, and I know Kevin Kolb has already gone public and said he wants to start somewhere. I think the Eagles, they need to find a way to keep them both on the roster, even if one of those guys is going to be unhappy. When you have a player like Michael Vick who takes chances that most traditional quarterbacks don't take, there is a higher percentage that he's going to get hurt, and you want to have a competent backup to step right in and not have a drop-off. And I believe Kevin Kolb is more than a competent backup. I think he's a good NFL quarterback, and the quarterback being the most important position on any NFL team, I don't see why more teams don't put so much stock into having a starting caliber type quarterback as their second string guy, and I think that's what the Eagles have. They gave him $11 million after they let McNabb go, so they don't owe him anything. They don't owe him a starting job. They've given him all the money in the world. Now it's time to just say, hey, we have 2 good quarterbacks, we're going to roll with it.
His base salary next year will be $1.4 million. That's very workable. I don't think they'll let him go either. That's not good for him, but it is good for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, my next item is a quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, who's been playing great. Packers got a little running game with James Starks. They didn't have a running game before. They lost by 3 in Atlanta. They're going back to Atlanta. I think Rodgers is going to pull an upset over Matty Ice, who's 20-2. What do you think about Aaron Rodgers right now, who has 1 playoff win? That's not going to make people forget about Brett Favre, but what do you think about him as a quarterback?
I think he's a very good quarterback. When you talk about the top tier, depending on how many quarterbacks you put in that top tier, you have to look at Aaron Rodgers being at the top of the second tier. And what I like about Aaron Rodgers, he's the only guy I could think of off the top of my head who has successfully gone and replaced a legend. Brett Favre left, he stepped right in, and he's been a very good quarterback. Ever since I've seen Troy Aikman leave, I haven't seen a competent guy replace him. John Elway, Steve Young, the list goes on and on. But when Brett Favre left Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers stepped in and has played very good ball, and I'm very excited about watching him go into this playoff game against Atlanta.
Now, you said the Eagle has landed. The Saints have marched out. We both thought the Saints were going to win. What do you think?
Oh, I was shocked. And when you look at the Saints and you look at the way they lost this playoff game, you have to ask yourself, what now? You know, is this team going to go back to being the same old Saints, or are they going to pick up where they left off 2 years ago and continue to have successful runs? I believe in the latter, that they will succeed, but there's some things they need to do in the offseason. They need to get a top-notch running back to take some of the pressure off Drew Brees. In this league, you can't make it far into the playoffs by throwing the ball 30, 40, 50 times. There's going to be some games where you only complete 17 out of 23 passes like New England does, and you have to have a strong running game to do that. And their special teams, you know, their return game was atrocious this year. They're going to have to get that return man to help Drew Brees again get that starting position to start his drives at the 50, the 40 sometimes, and at least leave with 3 points. So I really think special teams, running game, and maybe an outside linebacker needs to be their focus this offseason.
when the CBA is done or the lockout is over, they potentially have 28 unrestricted free agents. And, buddy, that is a lot. Now, Lovie Smith's one of my favorite coaches. He's a Texan. I've liked him all along. Do you think, based on what he's done this year with the Bears, when his job was on the line, do you think he deserves an extension from the Bears along with general manager Jerry Angelo, the boy they've turned it around?
Definitely. Just like you said, they turned it around. But whoever gave the green light to bring in all the veteran free agents they brought in the offseason should be commended also. It's a team effort. Even when it comes to coaching and decision-making, it's not just the head coach. The head coach needs those toys to play with, and they brought him some beautiful toys in Julius Peppers and co. And he's doing what he's supposed to do with that type of talent. And I definitely think if your contract is up and you've made the playoffs, you get an extension.
They brought in Mike Martz. That was a very controversial move because nobody wanted Mike Martz at the time, and they thought, what's he going to do with Cutler? Nobody else has been able to do it. And they did a lot of high-risk stuff just paying what they gave for Jay Cutler, too. So I think Lovey definitely deserves it, but I'm partial because I like him.